the Digital Production Center at Troy University, with news from across America and around the globe. This is Troy TrojanVision Global News.
This is Troy TrojanVision Global News, where we will give you a look at what's happening across the nation and around the world. I'm Sherry Kotzum, and here's what's making the news on November 14th, 2014. President Obama may be just days away from announcing a major overhaul of immigration law, with the intent to move by executive action without Congress. Sunleen Sarfati has the latest on the political maneuverings and the details of the plan emerging from Washington.
As soon as next week, millions of undocumented immigrants may learn their new fate. White House officials say President Obama is gearing up to sign his own plan into law by executive action, bypassing Congress along the way. Sources tell CNN the expected main components of the plan include granting legal status to millions of immigrants in the country illegally, including parents of children who are American citizens and those who came to the country as children, but would make clear deportation should still be the policy for convicted criminals. In Myanmar Friday, the president doubled down.
I indicated to Speaker Boehner several months ago that if, in fact, Congress failed to act, I would use all the lawful authority that I possess to try to make the system work better. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen before the end of the year.
Such a unilateral move would be explosive in Congress. Republicans warn that it would influence negotiations over the spending bill and could trigger another government shutdown.
We're going to fight the president tooth and nail if he continues down this path. This is the wrong way to govern. This is exactly what the American people said on Election Day they didn't want.
The White House says they won't back down to shut down threats. In Washington, I'm Sunleen Sarfati.
All eyes are on the city of Ferguson today as a doctor hired by Michael Brown's family to perform an independent autopsy testifies in front of that grand jury today. This as attorneys and families stress that they want protesters to remain peaceful in their demonstrations, as a grand jury's decision could come at any moment. Sunleen Sarfati has the latest.
The anticipation is mounting. Today, the grand jury heard from one of the final witnesses, the forensic pathologist who performed the private autopsy on Michael Brown's body. The grand jury's been huddling since August 20th and are nearing a decision whether to bring criminal charges against Officer Darren Wilson for fatally shooting unarmed teenager Michael Brown.
We hope that that will not happen, but like everyone else, we're waiting for that decision. We think the grand jury's looking at this thoroughly.
A decision may come within the next 2 weeks.
Don't shoot!
Michael Brown's parents have taken their plea abroad to Geneva, appealing to the United Nations Committee Against Torture. They're expected to return to the U.S. Friday. Meanwhile, in Ferguson, an anxious city waits and braces.
I hate the boards. I don't like them here, but I don't want my window smashed out again.
The governor, as well as the Brown family, are calling for calm.
Violence, looting, and rioting is not a responsible way of expressing those feelings. It severely diminishes the opportunity for healing and positive dialogue going forward.
In Washington, I'm Sunleen Sarfati.
The more details that come out, the worse it seems to get. A scathing review of the Secret Service details a number of security flubs at the White House when a man jumped over the fence in September. The man made it as far as the East Room before being stopped. And Andrew Spencer reports a Homeland Security review explains exactly how.
White House fence jumpers aren't unheard of, but this one in September has been by far the biggest headache for the Secret Service, exposing a number of flaws in security and leading to the resignation of the Secret Service director. Made public on Thursday, the Department of Homeland Security's in-depth review notes technical missteps, lack of radio discipline, and improper use of equipment. It details a number of security missteps as Omar Gonzalez made it across the North Lawn, into the front door, and through to the East Room of the White House before being stopped. Gonzalez apparently had something other fence jumpers don't get, an 11-second head start. The officer who was supposed to release the dogs, according to the review, was in a van without his radio earpiece, talking on his personal cell phone. The review says the canines may not have even seen the jumper. Officers at the North Portico also thought the bushes there were too thick for Gonzalez to get through. They were wrong. An officer stationed at the front door of the White House also assumed it was locked, but Gonzalez ran right inside. During his run through the president's home, a female agent tried twice to take him down, but Gonzalez was just too big for her. The report says she tried to use her baton to stop him, but in reaching for it, she accidentally grabbed her flashlight instead. Another officer finally brought Gonzalez down just outside the green room of the White House. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
A mass sterilization drive in India is causing severe medical problems. We'll have that and more here on TrojanVision Global News.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy TrojanVision will return in 2 minutes.
We're the stronger than we look type. The braver than you think type. The type that knows the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the progress is inevitable type. The hopeful for a cure type. The type that will stop at nothing until type 1 becomes type none.
This could be a bicycle or a bat. This could be a robot or an airplane. This could be a playground. This could be a book bag or a soccer ball. This could be a book. This could be beautiful. This cannot be trash. This can all be recycled. Learn more at thiscouldbe.org.
Cool party. What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you? A designated driver, please. You know, just a bottle of water.
Awesome.
You're a lifesaver.
The warrior spirit. It's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Keeping you up to date with news from around the globe, this is Troy TrojanVision Global News.
In Hong Kong, a group of protesters who vowed to block key areas of the city are still standing their ground. From the beginning, they have said they would not leave until mainland authorities allowed Hong Kongers to choose the territory's next chief executive without restrictions. Earlier, CNN's Christy Liu Stout visited key protest sites, starting at what has been the movement's headquarters. Here's her report.
7 weeks and counting. For almost 2 months, pro-democracy protesters have been camped out here in the heart of Hong Kong. Now, traffic has been painfully slow in some parts, and there's been a marked shift in public sentiment from a mixture of support and indifference to outright frustration. But all this could soon change. The bailiffs could be on their way soon. Now, there are two groups representing transportation workers. They're seeking injunctions for the bailiffs and police to come and to clear up protesters from some occupied sites. Here in Admiralty, CITIC Tower is the focus of another injunction. Now, as you can see, on this side of the border, there are a lot of protesters here. They say that they're not going to be affected by any potential clearance ruling. And on this side, you see most of the pro-democracy demonstrators have been cleared already. Now, they don't want to give authorities any reason to send them on their way. Meanwhile, the next target could be the British consulate. A group of protesters say they plan to take over the road outside the building next week. They say that Britain, of course the former colonial ruler of Hong Kong, has not done enough to support their push for democracy. Others, including the 3 leaders behind the umbrella movement, are reportedly considering turning themselves in, turning civil disobedience into civil obedience.
The victims keep arriving. More than 60 women hospitalized, some in critical condition. 11 have died after having their fallopian tubes tied in a government-run mass sterilization drive. CNN's Tsunami Uras traveled to the hospital, and this is what she saw.
This is where it happened, an abandoned government building. A temporary camp was set up in this government hospital, which has been vacant for the past 7 months. The caretaker here says a sterilization drive used to be held here in this room twice a month. But as you can see, it's been sealed off by the government because an investigation is now underway. Government officials say female sterilization, a practice all too common in India, is the most effective method to curb the country's fast-growing population. The government says that 4.6 million people were sterilized in 2012. Health workers travel village to village, encouraging women who've had more than 2 or 3 children to undergo tubectomies. In Amshena village, 3 women volunteered. 2 of them died. My wife had severe pain and started vomiting the day after the surgery. I took her to the hospital. She died half an hour later. It's very difficult for me, he says. I have 3 very young children. Rupchand Sriwas is the village barber. He says they couldn't afford more children, but he didn't expect to lose his wife in the process. I asked him if they were alerted of any other options, modern contraceptives or even vasectomies. He says no. India has had a bad history with vasectomies. Millions of men were forced to undergo the procedure in the 1970s. These women were not forced. Rukmani says she didn't do it for the money either. Out of the $23 she was supposed to receive as a reward, she only got 10. I was given a urine test, blood pressure test, and then the surgery. After that, I took painkillers. I'm not sure who or what to blame, the doctor or the medicines, she says. Health officials say the cause of death cannot be determined until the autopsy is complete. They've called this an unfortunate incident and point to the ongoing investigation. But this is putting a spotlight on the potential systemic flaws in India's population control programs. Samnima Uras, CNN, Chhattisgarh, India.
Authorities think they've located a tiger that escaped Thursday, but they have yet to capture it. The animal was spotted by a couple as they drove past it. Local residents in the Paris suburb where the cat was seen were told to stay inside for their safety. CNN's Jim Binnerman has more details.
This all began around 8:30 this morning in a suburb to the east of Paris when a supermarket manager, Jean-Baptiste Berdaud, and his wife arrived for work. His wife spotted an animal in a grassy area near the supermarket. She thought at first it might be a lynx, but it later was identified as a tiger, and that's triggered a tiger hunt all day long in the suburb involving dozens and dozens of police and firemen and animal control officers who have been armed with rifles that could shoot darts which would put the animal asleep if they came across it. Mr. Verdeau described exactly what happened this morning when he arrived for work.
We were a little scared at the beginning, in particular as we were crossing the parking. We are not used to seeing a tiger in the morning when we go to work. The animal was in the middle of the mound, so we can estimate it was 5 or 6 meters away from her when she got out of her car.
Authorities have taken this whole thing very seriously, advising parents to pick up their children from school and for residents to stay inside and avoid any kind of contact with the animal. They believe it's in a grassy area, and they think now they've localized it, but they haven't yet caught the tiger by the tail. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Paris.
Some extreme shoppers are not taking any chances this Black Friday. More on that after the break.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy Trojan Vision will return in 2 minutes.
Food. It nourishes, brings us together, and adds flavor to life. That's why it's important to wash hands, surfaces, and fresh produce. Keep raw meat, poultry, and seafood separate from ready-to-eat foods like fruits and vegetables. And cook to proper temperatures using a food thermometer. Enjoy and refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours. For more tips on safely preparing foods, visit homefoodsafety.org.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
The warrior spirit, it's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now, news for your life from Troy TrojanVision Global News.
Is still 2 weeks away, but people are already camping out at a Best Buy in Florida. Determined to be the first to take advantage of the big deals, Carolyn Brewster reports.
And then I see him standing there and I says, "Are you waiting for Black Friday or Black Thursday?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, "Are you crazy?"
That was the reaction at Best Buy when shoppers saw a tent already set up outside 2 weeks before Black Friday.
It's a little bit much, I think.
You guys are crazy. God bless you. I couldn't do that. Is it really worth it? Get a job. We've heard everything.
This is Derek DeArmond's third year camping outside of Best Buy, and his goal? To be first in line for that 50-inch TV for $199. It may sound crazy, but he says it's not actually about the deals.
We need just this adrenaline rush of coming out here, being the first one in line.
And yes, you may be wondering, Derek does have a job. He uses the buddy system.
When I need to go to work, I go to work, and he stays here, or his wife's here. When he goes to work, he said, when we're not at work, we're right here.
He says he's well taken care of while parked outside of Best Buy. Places like Moe's and Dunkin' Donuts make sure he has a full belly.
People will bring us food. They'll see us on TV and go, those guys look hungry. Let's give them something to take them some food.
But how Derek feels when he finally gets his prize is not what you'd think.
Once they give you the tickets, the party's over. And then you know you got to go home.
Reporting in Lee County,
this Party Central.
Carolyn Brewster, Wink News.
Saturday begins round 2 for Obamacare enrollment, with the federal government hoping that signups for plans under the Affordable Care Act are smoother than the first time around. Karen Kafa looks at the expectations and what consumers need to know in today's Consumer Watch.
After much anticipation, we are done. Last fall's kickoff to enrollment in health care plans under the Affordable Care Act did not go as planned.
Look, there's no denying it. Right now, the website is too slow. Too many people have gotten stuck, and I am not happy about it.
I am as frustrated and angry as anyone with the flawed launch of healthcare.gov.
Ahead of the second round of signups, the healthcare.gov website was tested over a period of 5 weeks in the hopes of avoiding another dismal performance. 37 states will use the federal exchange for 2015. The enrollment period officially begins on Saturday, November 15th, but in a new feature, consumers can take a sneak preview of plans in their area now and compare estimated premiums, deductibles, and maximum out-of-pocket payments. The Obama administration says this year's sign-up will be easier in other ways, too. The application process has been reduced from 76 screens to 16. Consumers re-enrolling in a plan will find that much of their information carries over instead of having to enter it again. Despite the promise of easier enrollment, the Obama administration said this week they expect 2015 enrollment to be lower than their original projection of 13 million, revising that number below 10 million. For Consumer Watch, I'm Karen Kafa.
It has become one of the most difficult things to do in modern society, getting enough sleep. And it's not just that many of us are busy with work, school, and family life. Screen time is having an impact on bedtime. Jim Morelli explains in today's Health Minute.
Seems like Shelley Halchuk can do it all, except for one thing.
The one thing I can't do is sleep.
Experts say Halchuk is one of the millions of Americans who don't get enough sleep.
I like to get 8, but I actually only get about 4 or 5.
The problem is so pervasive, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention considers insufficient sleep a public health epidemic, one that can have surprising consequences on your health.
It is pretty clear that not getting enough sleep on a nightly basis can lead to health problems.
Health problems such as hypertension, heart attacks, stroke, diminished blood sugar control, possibly leading to diabetes, weight gain, anxiety, and depression. So how much sleep do we need? The National Sleep Foundation says children need between 9 and 10 hours of sleep each night, adults 7 to 8. So how can we get more sleep? First, watch the caffeine intake, none after 1 or 2 p.m. Second, take time before bed to wind down. And third, stop the screen time well before bedtime. And finally, Dr. Kirsch says, start looking at sleep for what it is, as important to our good health as exercise and proper nutrition. In Boston, Massachusetts, Jim Morelli for CNN.
Two twins have a story that seems to be straight out of a movie. Stay tuned for some of the lighter side of news next on Troy TrojanVision Global News.
With more news from across the nation and around the globe, Troy TrojanVision will return in 2 minutes.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
And now, more Troy TrojanVision Global News.
Day to the same mother, but immediately separated and raised in 2 separate continents. Then, by a remarkable stroke of luck online, twin sisters finally reunited. As Kelly Wallace shows us, the Twinsters are making a movie to share their journey.
On February 21st, 2013, I got a message on Facebook from a girl in London. It said she had seen me in a YouTube video, and then after looking my name up online, saw that we were both adopted and born on the same day in the same city. When I saw her profile, I mean, it was crazy. She looked just like me.
Describe that moment for us when you see each other for the first time.
Oh, so I was really nervous. Sam was very late for our Skype call. I had been waiting. It was really late at night. And I get super excited and super freaked out, and I don't know what am I going to tell her? What are we going to talk about? Maybe she's going to look very different. Then she calls in, and instantly, I guess we bonded after 1 minute. Oh my God, wait. Oh, you're all blurry.
My connection is really bad.
Oh my God, you're European!
Another amazing part of the story, right? I mean, similar expressions, you said similar laughs.
We hate cooked carrots.
I heard. What's up with cooked carrots? You do not like them.
I don't know. Raw carrots are cool. Our nail polish is always very similar or the same. Haircuts.
Well, that's it also. Looking at your baby pictures, you have like the same haircuts. That's amazing, right? What did you think when you saw that you looked identical, even as babies, raised in 2 different parts of the world?
It was like that holy moment, you know, you're like, oh my gosh.
This is weird, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that was the moment my parents knew that that we were twins. It was the baby pictures that did it, I think.
Do you ever think about if you were living at a time when there was no social media, you probably would not have reunited?
10 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible at all.
Don't look upset about it.
How do you process that?
Everything just is meant to be. It's meant to happen. So, and when an event occurs, it opens a door and a pathway to something new to happen.
Yeah, I felt like, I was abandoned, and I just realized that people love me like a long time before.
Do either of you have a desire to follow the journey of finding your birth mother and connecting with her?
Finding our birth mother is a difficult topic. She wasn't necessarily as warm to us as we had hoped for, but if we've learned anything in this story, it's that things will happen as they should. And if one day she wants to reach out to us, then we're here and we're willing and we're ready.
How often do you connect now? Are you talking all day? How do you connect now?
Every day. All day. Basically, I wake up to 20 text messages. What are you doing? I'm on my way to work. It's cold out. My shoe broke. Anything. It's just completely arbitrary things that happen during the day. We're not worried about being separated again. We know we'll never let it happen.
A robotic suit that makes you super strong. It's not just for Iron Man anymore. Lockheed Martin has built such a device and is testing the technology in factories across the country. Lori Segal has the scoop.
Check out the Hercules C-130. It's a military plane used to carry weapons, Humvees, and even drop bombs. Not exactly a light load. And to handle the tools responsible for building them, you've got to be strong, really strong. Here's one solution, a robotic suit aimed at giving workers superhuman strength.
Right now, tell me, what does it feel like to you right now?
Pretty much weightless.
But I'm told that this is definitely not weightless.
No, it is not.
All right, so we're gonna try it, right? And I'm gonna see.
You got it while it's...
All right.
You want to pull it up?
Oh, okay. So that is certainly not weightless.
When you stand or kneel, Fortis transfers weight to the ground. It has weights on the back to serve as a counterbalance.
So and I can tell you, it is really heavy. So that essentially makes this feel like it's nothing.
Right.
You could not do the amount of work without something like that.
No, you'd have to take a lot of breaks.
Putting on the Fortis is like a cross between wearing a spacesuit and becoming a robot. It's a little awkward to move around, but wearing Fortis can suddenly allow you to lift heavy objects for long periods on end. And that's helpful when you're building something as big as a plane.
We've all seen Iron Man before, but it seems so futuristic. What was the idea behind it?
Through looking at different technologies, we found that there was a need to help industrial workers who are experiencing fatigue from holding heavy tools up for long periods of time.
You don't want the people building this thing to be tired. Objects are literally flying out of it. Lockheed Martin made Fortis to sell to its customers. The Navy just got 2. But here at the C-130 plant, Lockheed's using it as a new manufacturing upgrade to a plane they've been making since the 1950s. But the 2014 model is being built in a way that's very futuristic.
Oh my God!
Lori Segal, CNN Money, Marietta, Georgia.
And that wraps things up for us here on Trojan Vision Global News. For a look at what's going on a little closer to home, stay tuned for Troy Trojan Vision Nightly News. I'm Sherry Kotzum. Thanks for joining us.
Stay tuned for more news after this on Troy Trojan Vision.
Do you like this top? It's so gay. Really? Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.